Again in 2007 for the accomplishments of the 96 and 97 N.A.I.A. National Champion Missouri Valley Wrestling teams. After college, Bobby served in the United States Army and continued to wrestle for the military, where in 2002 he became a CISM Military World Championship Senior Freestyle Silver Medalist. Bobby continued to train and earn several accolades, including placing twice at the U.S. Senior National Championship, third place in 2003 World Team Trials. While training for the Olympics in 2003, Bobby suffered a knee injury, ending his hopes for an Olympic appearance in 2004. Following his stint in the Army, Bobby began a career in the entertainment business. In 2005, he's made his television debut as a member of the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. After five years with the WWE, Bobby left the daily entertainment business to begin his career in mixed martial arts, where he is currently 6-1. There's another guy I don't want to meet that won. Some of Bobby's other career accomplishments include launching Lashley's Nutrition Network, opening his own American Top Team gym, founding Lashley Management, which promotes mixed martial arts fights, and appearing in several movies, including Way of War, Walk-Ins Welcome, Beat Down, and Blood Out. In his free time, Bobby enjoys staying physically fit, playing with his kids. Bobby has 3 children, a daughter Kyra, who is 6, son Miles, who is 3, and a daughter Naomi, who is 4 months. When asked who influenced him the most at Missouri Valley College, Bobby said, "My coach and a team of positive, success-driven men." I am pleased to introduce Bobby Lashley.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Marcus says I only have 5 minutes, so I gotta rush through everything that I want to say. But I think I'm gonna spend a little bit more time. My wrestling team kind of knew a little bit about me, and my coaches know a little bit about me, so I'm gonna share a couple stories. I didn't bring a note card or anything, so I don't have anything to read, because I actually have a fight coming up in a few weeks. So I just want to kind of tell you guys a little bit about my life and about my time here at Missouri Valley College. I think it started out when I was a senior. I was a state champion in high school, and I was a good wrestler, but I really didn't get around to all the international tournaments or all the national tournaments. I just kind of really didn't grow up with anything. I didn't have any real money. I kind of grew up poor, so that's how it was. But I did win a state championship. But one day over the summer, Coach Precy called me up, and just kind of out of nowhere, and said, we'd like for you to come to school here at Missouri Valley, and we want to offer you a scholarship. So I said, I'll take it. I wasn't really getting any other calls, and I really didn't know what I was going to do afterwards. I was going to join probably the Army or Marines, because I came from a military background. And I decided to come, came here and loaded up my duffel bag, and I came to school. Checked in, went to the dorm, and I remember going into the dorm and didn't really know too much of what to expect or anything, so I walked in and all I saw was this bunk bed, and I had my duffel bag. Didn't have anything else, just my duffel bag with clothes. And looked at the mattress, and I said, well, it's not a Holiday Inn or anything, so there's no sheets on it, no comforter or anything. So I took my sweater out of the bag, and I stuffed my clothes in there, tied a little knot, put it down there, and I grabbed my jacket, and I put it on my bed, and I said, well, my bed's made, so what do I do next? I put on my running shoes and I started running, because I I didn't really know what to expect and didn't know what to do, so I just started running. Didn't meet any wrestlers, didn't meet the coaches yet at this time, but I started running. And when I was running, this car pulls up next to me, and it was Coach Priestley. He said, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, I'm running, I'm getting ready for the season. And he said, "Well, you know the season's 9 months long." And I said, "All right, well, I'm gonna be ready." And he said, "Well, take your time, get your run, and then afterwards come see us, all the guys are hanging out." So I said, "Okay." And at that point, I really didn't know where I was going or what I was doing, but I knew that if I kept moving in the right direction, that something positive was going to happen. I had a series of setbacks, and I had a series of successes while I was in here, and of course, I'm getting honored now because of the successes, but there was one setback that I had my first year that kind of put everything into perspective, and it kind of moved me in the right direction. And we had this wrestling tournament. And during the wrestling tournament, I was one of the freshmen. I made the varsity team, so everything was going in the right direction. And in this wrestling tournament, I made it to the third place round, and I ended up winning it. And I beat this kid from Central Missouri State. It's a tough match, close match, but I won. Took third place. It was good, freshman placing in these tournaments, so I was moving in the right direction, so I was happy. That week, we had a duel against that same team. So this was Saturday that I just beat this kid in a close match. And then that week we had a duel against that same team. And in this duel we get down there and they put this huge presentation on. And our coaches come in there, I think our coaches didn't like their coaches, our team didn't like their team, and everybody was paired out really equally, so it was going to be a really tough duel for us. Coaches came back there and they gave us that big pep talk and they said, "You know what, we're going to beat these guys, look at what they're doing," and all of our guys were hyped, we were ready to go. So they pulled one match out of the duel, and they called it a feature match, and that was my match against the guy that I just wrestled. Since it was a close match, they pulled us out, and we wrestled last. So everybody else started wrestling, so we were on a roll. This was probably one of the best duels that we had. Everybody was rocking and rolling. I see some heads shaking now over there, because we were doing great in this, and we were winning every match. Boom, boom, boom. We were so hyped. We weren't even sitting down at this point. Everybody was warming up, and they were getting ready because we were pinning them and pinning them. And a lot of them were mismatches. A lot of them were, their guys were better than our guys, but we were going out there pinning them and beating them, and we were winning through it all the way through it. And then they had like one match left, and that was a feature match, and that was my match. And at this point, I looked at the scoreboard, and we were winning. I think it was 33-0 at this time. Needless to say, I went out there, and I don't know what happened. I froze up, had the worst match of my life, but ended up losing that match. When I lost that match, that was like probably one of the biggest blows I had in my wrestling career. My head was down, I sucking back tears the whole way, and that was probably the longest 45 minutes back to Missouri Valley that I've ever had. We even stopped before and ate, and Coach, let's go eat the buffet, and everybody ate. I didn't eat anything. I was just sucking back the tears and thinking my life was over and thinking that it was the end. We finally get back to Missouri Valley. I went back to the dorm, got my sweater, packed the clothes back in there, tied it back up, and I put it on my shoulders. I was like, I quit. I'm done. No more. This was the end of my wrestling career. I'm quitting school. I'm dropping out. I just can't take it anymore. So I started walking through campus, and I was walking around. Well, one, I didn't have a car, and I lived 3 hours away, so I don't know how I was going to do it anyway. But I was going to figure out a way, so I walked around campus for a while, and then finally on my way out, I went over to John's place, and I came and saw John, and I said, "You know what, John, I let the team down, I let myself down, I let everyone down. I don't think I can do it anymore. I'm going to quit." And John said, "Come on, Bobo, come back here and go sit down." So John sat down, and John, we called John Dad, okay? Because John was kind of like our role model, and he was the one that we always came to whenever we had problems or whatever. So I came to John, and John sat me down, and he said, "You know what, Bob?" He said, "If you quit now, it's like if any one of us quit because we had, these failures or setbacks, then nobody would be here. So instead of quit, you think about this and use that as motivation to kind of pick yourself back up." And he gave me this big, long, motivational speech, because John would sit you down forever and talk to you. And it got to the point where okay, John, okay. So I started feeling better, and he said, "All right, get back there, get some rest. We have practice tomorrow. You'll be all right. It's going to be better. So, and I kind of sucked it up. And he said, come here. Gave me a hug and said, you'll be all right. And he started walking out the door and he said, hey, Bob. Yeah, he said, you know, never in Missouri Valley history did we ever shut a team out. That's he let me out, and then I walked down. I said, okay. So I left there, and then that was my motivation. After that, I mean, I was really set for it. So that was a big speech, and I thank you for that, John, to get my mind right, and get my heart right, and really set me the right path. I ended up placing 4th that year, and then next year was a big year for me. And I'll leave you with one more story. It's kind of a dear story to me. It's the first year that I won nationals and went to the national championships, and it was kind of the same deal. I had a roommate, and my roommate was a real tough wrestler also. And we used to always try to outdo each other. Like I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, put my running shoes on, and I would start running, and I would sneak out because I always wanted to do a little bit more than he did. So I'd sneak out. By the time I get back, I'd look in there and try to sneak back in and hope to take a shower and maybe jump back in bed. By the time I get in, he'd be gone. So it's like, man. So we'd always try to outdo each other all the way throughout the year. We get to the national tournament, and our team is rocking and rolling. We're doing better than ever. And we're in place to win the national championship for the first time. And it was Bo Best in the finals, it was Scott Trimley in the finals, and it was myself and Miko Sharpman. I think we were the 4 finalists. We needed to win one match to seal the deal. And thankfully enough, Bo started it out for us, and Bo won it. So our team won nationals, so it took a little bit of pressure off of us. And me and Scott, we were sitting, and Scott was my roommate, me and Scott, we were sitting off to the side. We were sitting next to the bleachers, and we were sitting there, and through the entire year, we competed with each other, but at this point in time, we were sitting there, we were like, man, you know, we're 2 young kids, we're both sophomores. I was wrestling in the finals again with a guy that was 64-1. He was a senior. He was 24 years old. I was 19 years old. And Scott was wrestling in the finals against a guy that he wrestled earlier that year. His name was Ricky Williams. And Ricky Williams had just demolished Scott earlier in the year. Beat him like 15-0, and I think he pinned him also. It was just a terrible match. Scott goes out there and before we're just sitting there, and Scott looks over at me and Scott says, "Are you nervous?" I looked at Scott, and I mean, this is the first time we talked about anything kind of emotional because we were guys, and guys don't talk about anything like that. So I looked at Scott and I said, yeah. I sat back and I said, "Are you nervous?" He said, "No, I'm not nervous." I said, "Come on." He said, "No, I am. So he went out there, and I mean, it was probably the hardest match Scott had ever wrestled. And it was, I mean, he poured his heart into this match. And I can still remember this match to this day. We were all on our feet. And Scott was so close to beating this guy. And I mean, when the buzzer rang, it was like maybe just a couple points and Scott lost. And it was a crushing blow. So I was sitting there, and this is my roommate, this is my competition, but at the same time, my teammate, the person that helped me make it to the level that I was at, and the person that helped me push myself to the level that I was, he just lost. And then I had probably 4 matches, and then I'm going to wrestle. So I'm completely nervous at this time. So I go over to Coach, and I say, "Coach, I need to use the phone." And at this time, this was before cell phones were around, so the coach started running around. He said, "Okay, come on. So we go running around, and we run upstairs to this room, and he finds a phone. And I call home. I call my mom. And the reason why I call my mom is because, like I grew up, like I said, I grew up kind of with nothing, and my mom was kind of like my figurehead, the person I looked up to. She worked so hard for me and my sisters, and I called her. She didn't know where I was. She didn't know what I was doing. I usually only told my mom the outcome of things because I didn't want her to worry. So I called her up and I said, "Mom." She said, "What's going on?" I said, "Can I call you back in 20 minutes?" She goes, "Well, what are you doing? What's going on?" "You know I got to work," because my mom used to work at night, 10 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, "I'm going to call you back in 20 minutes. And she says, "Okay, hurry up, because I gotta go to work. I'm running late." And at this point, they're calling my name, and Mom was like, come on, we gotta go. So I said, "Okay, Mom, I'm gonna call you back. And I hung up the phone, and we went down, and I went and wrestled this match. And to this day, I couldn't tell you one thing that happened in this match, except the fact that I won. I looked at the scoreboard, it's 10-2. I've never watched the match. I don't remember anything that happened in the match. I'm sure there's some of my signature moves that may have happened in the match, but I don't remember any of it. And I remember afterwards they raised my hand. And when they raised my hand, it was just kind of a numbing feeling. And I looked over in the crowd and I saw all the people I'm kind of looking at today, some of these guys, John White, Lark, Dirks, all these guys, Randy, Coach Greasy, Waffles. I've seen all these guys running back up to the phone. And we get up there, we call, and I called my mom, and when my mom picked up the phone, I picked up the phone and I said, Mom, and when I was trying to say anything, and I couldn't say anything, Mark was in there pulling the phone away from me, and he said, Miss Lashley, you got to be proud of your son, you know, back to me. And she said, son, I love you.